All right, everyone. We've come to the end of the NFC East, and excuse me, that we are here. The last one is the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, we are back with the Philadelphia Eagles, last team in the NFC East. Obviously, the Eagles came in second last year in the East. They went 11-6 after starting 10-1, and they kind of imploded. This led to the firing of the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, two defensive coordinators, and some changes with the coaching staff. Nick Sirianni kept his job. Rumors of Belichick, of Jeffrey Lurie being interested in Belichick. But in all honesty, the Eagles got one of their guys that they wanted. The rumor was that the Eagles wanted to give the job to Fangio. They wanted to keep him, but Jonathan Gannon's pursuit with the Cardinals took too long, and Vic just took the Miami offer. And originally, that's who they wanted to replace Jonathan Gannon last year. So they finally give Vic. Um, at offensive coordinator, they bring in Kellen Moore, a guy who's had success in Dallas, obviously, and last year with the Chargers. He did put up that offense did put up some numbers, even though they didn't have like the greatest season. Um, but yes, those were the coaching changes. So new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator next year, and he gets to keep his job. Um, as far as the team goes, we had two retirements, two big ones. Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey both retired, two big pieces that have been there for a while. Free agency, they did sign Saquon, the biggest one that they had. In free agency, they signed Bryce Huff, pass rusher from the Jets. They signed Chauncey Gardner Johnson, who took a year away with the Lions, finally gets back. Signed Devin White, and that was the biggest signings that they had. Honestly, they gave us some extensions. Howie's always getting ahead of that with the players. Uh, yes, they traded for Kenny Pickett. Um, gave up a third, a seventh, and a seventh. They got Kenny Pickett in the fourth for Kenny Pickett. And recently, a couple of weeks ago in training camp, they traded for Jahan Dotson, wide receiver from the Commanders. They gave up a third, two sevens, and got Jahan Dotson in the fifth for next year's draft. In the draft, they went the first two picks, first and second round cornerbacks, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, two of the top corners in the draft. Then they had a pretty decent draft after that. Uh, yes. So far coming out of training camp, this team is fairly healthy as far as the starters. James Bradbury got put on IR, a guy who's a veteran guy who's making a change to safety, and he will be in IR. Will miss 6 to 8 weeks. They are light on safety, but I think they got some corners that can play both. So that's where I think they'll be. Sidney Brown's still not back from his injury, the second year player going into the second year. So um, obviously Jalen Hurts. We'll see if he can bounce back. Saquon in the backfield. Kenny Gainwell has been there for a while, and rookie Will Shipley. Receiver, as you know, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, the top two, and Jahan Dotson has been added to the mix. Dallas Goddard, really good tight end in the league. There, a lot of weapons on offense there. The line is basically the same except Kelsey. Cam Jurgens will be moving over from guard to play center where he was drafted to play. The biggest surprise out of camp is that Mekhi Becton, free agent tackle that they signed from the Jets, was working at guard during the preseason, and looks like he's going to be the starting guard week one. This defense is going to be kind of a hybrid, but it's going to be more of a 3-4 for the most part, but it's going to look like a 5-2 kind of sometimes. It's the Vic Fangio defense. So you got Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. That's going to be the base when they're running three down linemen. With the edge rushers being, Bryce Huff, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, a combination of that. Um, then inside linebacker, they loaded up at inside linebacker. New guys. They obviously had N'Kobe Dean, but they brought in Zach Bond and Devin White off of free agency, and rookie Jeremiah Trotter Jr. The legacy is making a run for it too. I think they will rotate for especially the first few games till Vic figures out which combination he wants there, but maybe he'll run the whole season with two, but a combination of four. At corner right now, it looks like it's going to be Slay. On the other side of Slay, it's either going to be Isaiah Rogers and Ringo, which it looks like Isaiah Rogers is going to get the first crack. Um, Quinyon, according to Vic Fangio the other day, he's going to play everywhere for now, but they're trying to find the right position, either nickel or inside or outside. But I think by the end of the year, he'll be the outside guy. They have a lot of bodies at corner, which they haven't had in a while. A lot of bodies that can perform. Obviously, at safety, Garner Johnson and Reed Blankenship. You have Cooper DeJean who can play both, Avante Maddox who can play both corner and safety. So that's where like the backup. Tristan McCullum made the team as a safety as well. So that's big. Just today, the Eagles signed to the practice squad Jack Driscoll, who they lost in free agency, got him back because he got released by the Dolphins. And they also got Jack Stahl, who they lost in free agency to the Giants, who got released and also came back to the practice squad. So there's a lot of people that they got back. Um, uh, yeah, they start the season Friday, the Friday game in Brazil against the Packers. Tough matchup to start out. Um, I don't know how I feel about that start. Obviously, both teams are traveling. I think that obviously compared to the Packers, the Eagles are coming in with a new offense that they haven't put out there because their guys didn't really get any preseason time, which they've done before. Nick Sirianni hasn't really let them play too much in the preseason, so I'm not worried about that. Um, they are playing in Green Bay. Green Bay is a really good team. The only thing about Green Bay that we talked about is a new defensive coordinator, but their defensive is pretty good. So we'll see how adapt they can get to that new system. Uh, I think offensively, the Eagles can match up with anybody because of the amount of weapons that they have, and I think that Jalen's a really good quarterback. That if I think he's more of the 2022 Jalen than he is of last year. Um, this one's going to be a tough one for both teams. I think it'll be up in the air. So the way the schedule goes, I'm going to leave that up in the air for week 1. Week 2, I think they beat the Falcons at home. And New Orleans, I think they get the win. New Orleans is tough to play, but they'll get the win. Tampa, they'll get the win. I think they could be 3-1 or 4-0 going into the box. They have an early bye in the 5th week. At the Browns, it'll be a tough one, but yeah, it'll be a tough one. That's up in the air for me right now. The Giants, they'll beat. Bengals will be a tough one. Jacksonville, they'll beat. They're going to split with Dallas. I think they can beat the Commanders both times. Rams, I think, going to go over there and win. Ravens is going to be a tough one. Carolina, they'll win. I think they can beat Pittsburgh. So I think Giants and Commanders will take both. So that's 4 right there. 5 because they'll split with Dallas. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 and 5. So they could lose to the Packers. That's 1. They could lose to the Browns. That's 2. Bengals. That's 3. For the Ravens, and then 1 to the Cowboys. That'll be they could go 12 and 5 or 11 and 6 again. But 12 and 5 to me, looking at the schedule out there, is what it looks like could happen there for the Birds. Yeah. We'll see though. This is all comes down to everybody staying healthy. Like I said, nobody's won the division back to back. Dallas ended up winning the division last year. I don't think they'll repeat. It just hasn't happened in this division in a while. The last team to do it was the Eagles back in the early 2000s when Andy Reid was here. But I don't see them repeat. I don't see the Cowboys repeating. I think they have a lot of question marks on the offensive line, and I think they'll still be a decent team. They'll still make the playoffs, but the other teams at the bottom of the division are a little softer there, but and have more work to do. But if everything stays healthy and the 2022 Jalen comes by, this team is going to be offensively hard to beat. They should be top 5 in the league in offense. I think the defense will take a little bit to get situated. It's what Vic does. It took a little bit, a couple weeks for them to get situated in Miami, and then towards the end of the season, that defense was really good. So I think it'll all play out. It might take a couple weeks for it to come all the way together, but this team's gonna be all right, especially if the health is on their side. So look out. I think they'll win the division 12-5, 11-6, but I think 12-5 seems like the right record for them. All right. That's it for the NFC East. We'll come back, wrap it all up with the AFC East coming up. All right. Peace out, guys.